Good evening from Browns Bay. I think it may be day 12, but actually it's Monday. And I'd rather think about the days this week as the days leading up to Easter. So Monday is the first day of Holy Week. And traditionally, it's a day of cleansing when we remember Jesus coming into the temple. And, well, we'll get to that in a minute. We talked about Palm Sunday at our service yesterday, and how Jesus rides into our lives. The speaker really made a really good analogy of that, of Jesus riding into our lives. And what do we do when he comes into our lives? So what will we do with Jesus through this Holy Week as we prepare for Easter? He's come in, and what's he going to do? Well, one of the first things he did was to go into the temple, not directly into the inner court, but the outer court of the temple, where it was actually okay to exchange money and for people to sell animals for sacrifices. People came from long distances, and it was a convenient thing rather than bring a large animal from miles away to actually bring your money and buy something for the sacrifice. And other historians show that this was a legitimate thing. But of course, the motivation of people was questioned, and some of the things that were going on there were dubious, and Jesus obviously had an issue with that because he gets quite concerned about it, almost angry. He fashions a whip and he chases the animals out, overturns the tables, and causes a commotion. How big a commotion that was is an interesting idea. The only thing I can compare it to is our trip to Athens a year or so ago when we went up to the Acropolis. Now, the temple, the platform of the temple in Jerusalem was probably twice the size of the area of the Acropolis in Athens. And when you go up the Acropolis, up those steps, it's quite a thing to see this amazing building. It's been there for so many thousands of years. And of course, there are authorities there that keep an eye on the place. And the friends that we traveled with insisted that we climb up onto a particular rock for photographs. And I said, oh, I don't know if I should do that. And they all got up and had their photos taken. And by the time I got up, guess what? The whistles were blowing and the police were there to chase me off. There are always people who keep an eye on important buildings. And there would have been temple police. There were temple police in Jerusalem. So the fact that he was back there the next day teaching, when you read Mark's Gospel, means that he probably didn't alienate himself completely from them. He probably didn't wreck the place completely, but he certainly made a statement about cleansing, about getting things pure and right, about purpose and motivation in our lives. And he said that this is meant to be a house of prayer for all nations, and you've turned it into a den of thieves. So our motivations are important, why we do certain things. Some things are important and have to be done, but if they become the most important things, particularly money, then that's a problem. But when Jesus rides into our lives personally, what does he look for? I think when he looks at worship, he looks for integrity, and when he looks at us, I think he actually looks that our lives should not be, well, hypocrisy is what he would look for in us, that we would actually do what we say, carry out the things we believe in, practice what we preach. So as he comes into your life this week, how's it looking? What kind of tables might he overturn and say, hang on a minute, you might have missed the point. In Luke's Gospel, after this, he actually weeps over the city because he says that they missed the day of their visitation. God had come and they'd missed it. They just didn't see it. And that's the danger for us, I suppose, in all of this, to be distracted by all the other things at the moment and to forget that this is actually Easter. We celebrate this most amazing coming of God as a human being, one of us, fully human, into our existence to feel our pains and our sufferings. And at this time in the world, it's a good thing to know that he does understand, that he certainly understood grief as well, having lost a friend and grieving over the sadness of people missing the point of their lives. I remember someone saying to me, it would be a terrible thing to have on your tombstone at the end of your life, it was a great life, but he missed the point. I don't want to miss the point. I want to stay focused on the things that matter, and I hope that can be the same for you through this time. we're a bit overwhelmed by all the world events. We listen to the scientists doing their research. We're amazed at what they can do in such a short time to try and create a vaccine. And there are a lot of hopeful things. We listen to the figures and the statistics, and it's actually quite desperate. And we're even counting our days in terms of how many days we're in lockdown. But I would just suggest that today is day one. It's the first day of Holy Week. It's the day of cleansing. It's a day in which we can reflect on our lives and say, the things I need to clean up, maybe this is a good time to do it. And perhaps being at home a lot on our own and not rushing around and spending hours in traffic has given us more time to be more reflective and to be more concerned about the things that are really important. We've talked a lot about caring for others, for relationships and for support of others, but self-care again also involves reevaluating where we're going in our lives. So may you have a good day today. Those of us who are about to go to bed are at the end of this day of the visitation of Jesus, the day of cleansing. For those of you waking up in other parts of the world, may you put it to good use to think about how your life is going, and maybe you can fix a few things and get some priorities right. It all helps, of course, when we bring it to God in prayer and ask him to give us the wisdom that we need. He promises that when we ask, he will give us the wisdom that we need. When we need direction, when we need guidance, he'll be there for us. And most of all, as we talked about yesterday, he promises his peace. Interestingly, about that peace, it's not just a personal thing. That idea of shalom was also about the well-being of the whole community, and it also involved justice and fairness. And that's something that we should also think about, and how we care for others. Sometimes we tend to look after the people that it's easier to look after than the things that are inconvenient when we have to cross boundaries and then discover new things and new challenging situations. So may it be a challenging but exciting time as you look at your life again. God bless you on this Monday, the first day of Holy Week, day one. And we'll talk tomorrow as we move towards Easter and Good Friday coming up. Take care, and our best love from Browns Bay. And just remember that we're not alone. God is with us.